Good morning, SKN. I'm Jamie Morris.
And I'm Carty. It's Friday, y'all. It's Friday. It is Friday. Welcome to our 241st episode on this lovely Friday morning. Thank you for joining us.
I love the way you're counting these things in any event. It's now time to proceed to the latest in local news. First ever CBI dividend to be distributed to citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. This according to One Media. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis has approved the payment of a citizenship by investment or CBI dividend to the citizens and residents of the Federation. The CBI dividend is a share of the profits and retained earnings received from the citizenship by investment program. The CBI dividend will be facilitated through the St. Christopher and Nevis Social Security and will be distributed in two tiers or categories. The first category is the pensionable and pensioners, and the second category is classified as those who are not yet pensionable. This is a new policy implemented by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis as a commitment to the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew-led St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party administration's campaign pledge to the citizens and residents of the Federation.
You know, everybody's speculating how much it is going to be.
Well, okay, I guess I'm not in that everybody because, you know what?
Not us, I'm just saying. But majority of the citizens are speculating how much it's going to be.
Yeah, you're correcting it. It's fine, Cortez.
Yeah, indeed. We continue now. This from Win Media. Mr. Craig Tuckett has completed his legal licensing process and is admitted to the practice of law as a barrister in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Tuckett was called to the bar of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court of St. Kitts and Nevis on Monday, December 5th, 2022, having graduated with a Bachelor's of Law degree from the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus, Faculty of Law, Trinidad and Tobago, and also with a legal education certificate from the Hugh Wooding Law School. A Win FM reporter spoke to Tuckett following his call to the bar. He offered to be the best advocate to those he would serve and also ensure that the rules of the country were upheld. Tuckett said, and quote, "It was indeed a great experience, and I'm now afforded the opportunity to be an officer of the court, a part of the third pillar of our constitutional democracy, which is the judiciary," end quote. The new attorney at law was called to the bar before Justice Yvette Wallace, moved by Counsel Glenford Hamilton. Also in attendance to witness the occasion was the former Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Timothy Harris, as well as Tuckett's parents, Dr. Sharon Esdale and Mr. Samuel Joseph Tuckett. So congratulations, Mr. Tuckett. Do well in your field.
My former teacher, yes.
Oh.
I'm very proud of him, actually. So
Good stuff.
All right, so moving on, SKNIS reports this. 10 individuals with more than 300 years in the civil aviation industry were applauded by the Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation, the Honorable Marcia Henderson, for their years of service to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The minister recognized 9 men and 1 woman as she made a national address on Wednesday to mark World Aviation Day 2022, celebrated annually on December 7th. The Honorable Henderson stated, quote, "Today we celebrate this moment as we honor the men and women across the globe who have served up to the highest level in aviation and to honor our own citizens who have served with distinction in the development and advancement of aviation for decades," end quote. The challenges posed to the global aviation industry by the COVID-19 pandemic were also highlighted as an example of how resilient the industry must be in responding and adapting to various developments. At the onset of the pandemic, together we all helped to keep the world connected through the International Civil Aviation Organization, the ICAO, Council's Aviation Recovery Task Force, the minister stated. The task force provides practical and timely guidance to governments and industry for restarting the international air transport sector and recovery from the impact of the pandemic in a globally coordinated manner.
Nice. Now for your local weather, it's sunny with a high of 81 degrees and a low of 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, my voice seems to want to leave already. It's now 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Take a look at your hourly and the rest of your weekly weather and stay tuned. Regional and international news up next.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First, you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Yeah.
An exotic experience.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN as we continue with regional news. This from a press release by the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. The Barbados-based Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, has announced the dates for its 2023 regional examinations beginning in January. In a statement, the institution that provides regional and international recognized secondary school leaving examination said the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, the CSEC, will be held between January the 4th to the 31st, followed by the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, the CPEA, May 4th to 5th. In addition, students will sit the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination CAPE from May 8th to June 23rd with the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, the CSEC, again taking place between May 8th to June 16th. The Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, the CCSLC, will be held between June 19th to the 22nd. CXC said that 2023 Caribbean Vocational Qualification, the CVQ, assessment will be conducted between April and September, with specific dates to be determined in collaboration with participating ministries of education. So all have been advised, start your studying early.
All right, moving on to the international scene. This from the BBC. Celine Dion has revealed she's been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, SPS, a rare neurological disorder with features of an autoimmune disease. The French-Canadian singer told her 5.2 million Instagram followers the condition makes her muscle spasm uncontrollably. It has also left her with difficulties walking and singing. This means she will not be able to plan shows in the UK and Europe next year. Dion said, quote, "I've been dealing with problems with my health for a long time." The 54-year-old continued in an emotionally charged video, "And it's been really difficult for me to face these challenges and to talk about everything that I've been going through." She added, "Unfortunately, these spasms affect every aspect of my daily life, sometimes causing difficulties when I walk and not allowing me to use my vocal cords to sing the way I'm used to. It hurts me to tell you today that this means I won't be ready to start my tour in Europe in February," end quote. No longer holding back the tears, the singer signed off by thanking fans for their support, stressing that she had no choice but to focus on her health right now and hoped she was on the road to recovery.
Wow. I wish her a speedy one, boy, but this body. When I hear autoimmune, I can't believe the body is trying to destroy the body.
Yeah, and it's a rare disease. So one of the, I think, reporters I heard of who covered the story this morning said that what it does by her talking about it is to shed light on what a rare disease this is and perhaps to raise awareness of the disease. And so hopefully, everything will work out for her. I wish her the best.
We both do.
All right, well, there you have it for the latest for today. We'll be back in a moment with more GMS Scan. Stay tuned.
I eat some veggies for dinner. Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am salt smart.
Salt is an important part of the human diet, but most of us consume more than we realize.
To today's recipe. But before we get into that, let me give you some information about the benefits of H2O. Infused water adds more to your H2O. It not only gives you the same refreshed feeling that water does, but it adds flavor and nutritional benefits. Adding different combinations of herbs, fruits, and spices to your water can lead to endless combinations that are not only delicious, but extremely good for you. Helping to control bloating, because many women suffer from bloating due to excess salt or hormonal fluctuation. Water-rich foods such as lemon and cucumber can help control this problem. How does this link into relaxation? Well, if you infuse your drink with herbs that are linked to relaxation such as sage, this often helps. What are the benefits of anti-aging? Well, if you add dark berries and pomegranate seeds, which are rich in antioxidants, this can help protect against the effects of aging. Let's talk about metabolism. Many fruits can boost your metabolism and help with weight loss, so be sure to add in your raspberries, strawberries, tangerines, and any other delicious fruit. Now, let's move on to the recipe for this Friday, which is watermelon and lemon mint. Ingredients: 1 small cup of watermelon pieces, 1 large lemon sliced, and a handful of fresh mints. Now for the directions, it's very simple. You just need a pitcher and add 1 small cup of watermelon sliced, 1 large lemon sliced, and a handful of fresh mint. Muddle ingredients and fill pitcher with ice water, and you're good to go. Add more to your H2O. Check out the Facebook page every Friday for refreshing infused water recipes.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
Dreamy Decor specializes in flowers for all events, from birthdays to weddings and any other special occasion. What's a better way to express to the people you love than by providing the finest selection of beautiful flowers and gifts? So when you think of flowers, think of us, Dreamy Decor.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. It is International Day of Veterinary Medicine. This annual observance recognizes the hard-working professionals who promote and protect animals and human welfare worldwide. One such profession is the person of our next guest, Dr. Tracy Challenger. Dr. Challenger is currently the Agricultural Development Advisor at the Department of Agriculture here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we are delighted to engage with her on this occasion. A pleasant good morning, Dr. Challenger. Welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Thank you. Good morning.
Our pleasure having you. Right off the bat, where did your love for veterinary medicine? Where did it come from, I should say?
As a child, I grew up around animals.
Okay.
So I had sheep and pigs. And every morning, we had to take the sheep out. And then after school, we had to go and get them and bring them back in the yard. So that's where it began.
Okay.
I would think that having to do that, you could have easily been a farmer and not a veterinarian.
Well, I had to play a important role in actually keeping the animals healthy. So I like that aspect of it. When the animals got a cut, I would be the one that would clean it and so forth. So.
Oh, so yeah. I see where that love is.
So that's
right
where it
from.
went.
Yes.
Towards the health
aspect
aspect of it.
Nice.
How old were you at the time you were doing this?
Well, I can tell you at the age of 10, I knew that I wanted to be a vet. Right? So I was doing this even before that. All in primary school. Yes, I was doing that.
So you were very focused.
I know, stuck
yes,
to it.
I've always been a focused person. Nice. Always.
So any pets growing up other than the sheep that you had to?
I had pets. Okay. I had 3 dogs. And I loved them very much. And, you know, when they died, the first one was very traumatizing. And then the other 2, after the other 2, I decided, you know, when you attach yourself to an animal. And the animals love you back so much more.
Yeah, I know.
Understand? That. And so currently I do not have any pets. And pets takes dedication, you know, with my profession and so forth. I just decided not to get any more.
Okay. All right.
Well, speaking of your profession, Dr. Challenger, did you have any challenges entering that field?
Not when you say entering the field,
veterinary
going to study or applying to the university.
The whole spectrum of it.
Well, I was the first Christian that went to Wasp University. And so being the first, thank you, being the first, it wasn't really that difficult. I mean, you're the first and you're qualified. So it wasn't difficult. As a matter of fact, the process wasn't even completed before I went. The dean just told me, the dentist at the time, Dr. Challenger, he just told me, Tracy, just come, and the paperwork will follow. And so I went.
Nice.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about some of the degrees that you would have attained?
Okay, so prior to becoming a veterinarian, I went to the University of the West Indies, where I did a bachelor's, a double major, botany and zoology. And then after that, I went to vet school in 1996. And then after graduating, I landed the CVO's position, the highest position in the unit.
Nice.
As a youngster, 29 years old. And then after that, a couple years, maybe about 14 or 15 years after that, I decided in 2017 to do a master's in veterinary, One Health.
Nice.
So that's it.
Oh, quite an impressive track record.
And she's so humble with it. I like that. I love
And
that.
again,
Yes.
to preface, well, to speak to the next question, your humble beginnings, to see where you've ended up. I understand you came from very humble beginnings and you understand the importance of academics, especially at the tertiary level.
Yes, yes. Well, I was the first of 5 siblings. And I was the one to set the pace. I knew that I had to be an example for my siblings. And so I studied very hard. And it didn't end there. I pushed my siblings also to study hard. So we all have achieved because of that.
Okay, that's great.
Yes.
Nice. Let's talk about your ideologies. So a good name is better than silver or gold.
Yes. When you're in a profession like that, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with paperwork. Paperwork that once your signature goes on it, it has enormous responsibility and consequences if something goes wrong. So I always maintain that I would do things the right way, and I would follow the laws.
Good stuff.
And no one could sway me. Yes, and because of that, I haven't been too popular with certain areas, but at the end of the day, I know I did my job and I did it the right way.
Indeed.
Well, it's about being principled.
Yes.
All right, good to know. We'll be back with the doctor in a moment. Stay tuned, everyone.
Hello and welcome to your favorite day of the week, Friday. It's Infused Friday, and you've guessed right, we have another marvelous infused water recipe for you today. Strawberry, lemon and green tea infused water. So let me introduce you to the benefits one can expect from this selection. Strawberries. These potent little packages protect your heart, increases HDL, which is good cholesterol, lower blood pressure and guard against cancer. Packed with vitamins, fiber and particularly high levels of antioxidants known as polyphenols. Strawberries are a sodium-free, fat-free, cholesterol-free and low-calorie food. The bottom line is lemons contain a high amount of vitamin C, soluble fiber and plant compounds that give them a number of health benefits. Lemons may aid weight loss and reduce your risk of heart disease, anemia, kidney stones, digestive issues and cancer. And finally, green tea contains healthy bioactive compounds. These compounds can improve brain function, increase fat burning. The antioxidants may lower the risk of some cancers, contribute to the prevention of type 2 diabetes, and assist in the prevention of cardiovascular disease, also in the protection of the brain from aging and reduce bad breath. Amazing benefits. Let's get infusing. Here are the ingredients. 1 bag of green tea, 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of hot water, 1 lemon halved, juiced and half sliced, a handful of strawberries halved, and ice cubes for serving. Directions. Place tea bag in a cup of hot water, let it steep for 5 minutes, then remove, and let it cool before pouring into a jug or pitcher. Add the remaining ingredients and let it infuse for 30 minutes before serving into large glass filled with ice. So delightful. Add more to your H2O. Check out the Facebook page every Friday for refreshing infused water recipes.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We're speaking with Dr. Tracy Challenger, Agriculture Development Advisor at the Department of Agriculture. So Dr. Challenger, you've worked as Chief Veterinary Officer for over 2 decades.
Yes.
What have some of the lessons learned been for you? What are some of the lessons, rather, that you've learned during that time?
It's not an easy role. It was not an easy time. Balancing the work, your integrity, and the political side of it. Because sometimes we have to think about political implications. So I had to weigh all of that. certain situations. At the same time, you know, self-preservation was also important.
Yes, as you mentioned.
Hey, when you are working
Yes.
within a certain culture,
Right.
you have to learn to navigate.
Navigate, yes.
Smartly.
Smartly, yes, yes.
So in your role as Chief Veterinary Officer, you contributed and developed a few programs. Can you tell us about these programs that you would have developed?
Yes. As the CVO, I attended many workshops, many training workshops. And from each of these workshops, I took away something and I brought it back and I tried to implement what I learned. Because, you know, in vet school, you're not taught the regulatory aspect, okay? Which is a large part of the role of a CVO. And so I went to Chile. I spent 2 weeks in Chile at a diagnostic laboratory.
Okay.
And there I absorbed everything. And I brought back the idea, and I wrote a proposal. This was one of the major achievements. I wrote a proposal to construct a veterinary diagnostic laboratory. Because for the past couple of years, you know, we've been working, but we didn't have the diagnostic tool to give us the science-based information so we could make science-based decisions. So back then we had a zero tolerance. If we don't know, the answer is no. Now we're moving towards a science-based decision making. So we're going to be doing testing, and so our decision will be based on, you know, science. So it takes out a lot of arguments and conflicts, because I mean you have the data there to show the client, right?
So the follow-up question to that would be, what does that mean for the client ultimately, that you've now adapted that scientific approach?
It means that we're opening up. So our clients are mainly importers. So a majority of them would want to import, let's say, meat from a certain country.
Okay.
But that country has a particular disease that we don't have and we don't want to hear. So now, rather than just saying no, we will say, okay, then the item can come. But upon arrival, we will do some testing to make sure that it's safe before it's released.
All right, so I get what you mean when you say it's not no anymore. It's maybe subject to testing.
Right, right.
Right, so there's also the tropical bontic and dermatophilosis, I hope I'm saying it right?
Dermatophilosis.
Dermatophilosis, thank you, control program. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, that was before my time. I contributed to the program, but it started before my time.
Okay.
This is a tick that was introduced, and it wreaked havoc on our livestock because it's associated with a disease called dermatophilosis. It's a skin disease. And for some reason, in our situation, our animals were actually dying from the disease. Ordinarily, it shouldn't happen, but I guess because we had so much inbreeding, so the immune system of the animals was down, and so we suffered from it. We lost quite a few animals, and the population went down to like maybe 500 cattle, maybe 1,000 sheep, and so the government of the day really had to do something, and so that program was introduced. It was initiated regionally because we were not the only one that had the problem. So we were part of that program. And just to mention some of the hard work that preceded my time, every animal had to be tagged, they had to be treated. It was a lot of work. So I give kudos to the vets that were involved in that. I came in on a later stage because the disease would recur, like maybe we would have a problem maybe every five years or so. We'll have, especially when we run out of acaricide, which happened in 2018-19. Because on the international stage, you couldn't really get the acaricide, the beta-col that we used to treat. And so that external factors really put us in a quandary where we lost 30% of our livestock from disease. Yeah. So I had to write a project again to, you know, intervene, or, you know, to what do you call it, intervention.
Yes.
Right? And that was submitted and it was approved. And so we had to do basically the same thing, but this time without the international support. And we were able to get it down to below 5%.
Good stuff, good stuff.
So we are good now.
Okay, good stuff. So congratulations on being the new ADA, so the Agriculture Development Advisor.
Right.
Congratulations on that. And do you think that vets get the recognition and appreciation that they should receive?
In our case, that's a tough one. I don't think we get enough recognition.
No, okay.
No, and for me, because we have to do so much work, and you have to work. You're basically on call for 24 hours.
Wow, like a doctor.
Right, right, and treating an animal is not easy because the animal cannot speak to you.
Yes.
So you have to basically solve that puzzle, and it's going to be so much easier now to get in the diagnostic lab. And so I think, if I could say, vets really should be paid more commensurate with those that are working in private sector, like work at university and the different things. Because when you look at this comparative salary, it's 50%.
Oh, wow.
Less.
All right, so that recognition could be monetary,
yes,
as well as other things. All right, well, our time is just about up, but Dr. Challenger, thank you so much. It's been a delight interacting with you and learning about your work.
It was a pleasure. Yes.
And congratulations again on your new appointment.
Thank you. Okay.
Much more after this short break. Stay tuned.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Yeah.
An exotic experience.
Yo, what up? It's your boy N Richie right here at Studio 327. I'm here to give you the promo that you guys need because this is something special for St. Kitts. I'm telling you, tune in to Good Morning SKN, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and on Moment Channel 4. Also, I realize nobody else is doing this. Follow the Good Morning SKN Instagram at Good Morning SKN and the Studio 327 Inc. Instagram. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. This is pretty long, but follow us and yeah.
Human Rights Day is observed annually on December 10th. This year, this is on Saturday, and we at Good Morning SKN want to take the opportunity to speak on this topic. 9th, observed by the international community every year. Well, forgive me. All right, observed by the international community every year. It commemorates the day in 1948 when the United Nations General Assembly adopted the, wow. All right, can we do this again? Human Rights Day is observed annually on the 10th of December. This year, this is on a Saturday, and we at GMSKN want to take the opportunity to speak on this topic today, the 9th. Observed by the international community every year, it commemorates the day in 1948 when the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Our next guest has over 10 years in the field as an attorney at law and as an advocate. She is versed on the issue of human rights. Please join us in welcoming Ms. Angelina Suku Bob. Apologies to our viewers, there were things there that I could not read. So welcome to you, Ms. Bob. Can you give us a brief rundown on your legal background?
I've been an attorney at law since October 2020.
Congrats.
I migrated from Trinidad to St. Kitts in March 2011, and I've spent most of my legal career practicing in the courts from the Magistrates Court to the Privy Council. My area of law would be civil litigation, and I also practice in a niche area of constitutional law and election law.
Both very interesting.
Civil litigation, as I asked Gard, is a lot of hard work with no thanks. How do you deal with that area of law?
I live for it.
Oh, I like that.
I also should say, with civil litigation, there are different parts. So
Okay.
I'm usually involved in what I call complex civil litigation.
Okay.
So I don't do family law.
Okay.
And most of the topics that I do are very different. And so I always like the opportunity to be intellectually challenged.
Okay, great to know. So you're a keen advocate for human rights. Have you been able to, let's say, advocate for human rights in your daily practice?
I do. I'm proud to say that some of the cases that I've been involved in are referred to as seminal cases and are taught at the Cave Hill Law School. Two of the most popular ones would be, a few years ago, there was a young lady whose intimate sex videos were leaked by police officers in Nevis. And I took up the matter, and the human right that I advocated for would have been the right to privacy and the right to protection of property, which of course I had to ensure the definition of property now includes virtual property and digital property. And we were able to get a sizable award of $500,000 in total, both for her and her male partner. That case, I went on appeal, and the Court of Appeal upheld the decision as well as the award. The description of the award was different, but it was upheld. And so when you are in Cave Hill, now one of the cases you will use to discuss human rights and including privacy is that case. It's called Jovel Williams and Jaisal Campbell against the Attorney General. Something I started in, I believe it was 2016, or it may have been a little earlier.
I remember that case, in fact, yes.
And congratulations on it.
Thank you. The next most significant one, I think, would be involving Leon Natta Nelson and the Attorney General, where we challenged the inability of persons working in the public service to vie for political office while being a public servant.
That's really a landmark case.
It
Because that
is.
changed the way that we do things here.
It does, not just in St. Kitts, but it has since been quoted and adopted throughout the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court jurisdictions, which would be the OECS.
Wow, you've accomplished lots, man. Many congratulations. Let me say that. That's good. So why would there need to be, or why would we need to have a declaration on human rights?
I think the need to have a Universal Declaration on Human Rights is as applicable today as it was in 1948. The document is an amazing document. There are 30 rights that are guaranteed and are considered to be inalienable, meaning as long as you're human, you're entitled to it. What I like about the document, which it took 3 years to work on, is that it's a living instrument. Okay. So the need for humanity and dignity remains today as it did in 1948. Yes. Now, it may not mean that things such as slavery or the right for women to vote or to be seen as equal are as applicable now, but there are other types of discriminations for different types of minority groups that remain applicable, whether it's for disability, LGBTQI persons, persons of ethnic minorities. So it's still very much applicable. And in our parts, there's this perception that human rights are only breached if you see, for example, extrajudicial killings, or well, we don't recognize that in our day-to-day lives, there are different ways that human rights are either infringed or limited in an unreasonable way. And this, for example, may be the inability of Black boys to wear an afro at school. I'm not even going to Rastafarian hairstyles, but even just a Black boy being able to wear his hair above maybe an inch. And we're predominantly, well, in St. Kitts, it's a predominantly Black society. Or when you go to different, for example, even if you go to the courthouse, if your religion is not that of the Christian faith, when you have to swear, you may have to affirm, but if you don't believe in affirming, you believe in swearing, then there may not be a Quran or a Bhagavad Gita, because we don't recognize that we do have other religions here. So the infractions may be what we call microaggressions, and then of course there remain some serious infractions, which would be, for example, one of which was recently addressed in a High Court case about the right to privacy and the right for adults to choose whom they would like to spend their intimate time with. We also have the ongoing debate about the ability for Rastafarians to practice their faith, which includes the use of cannabis. And even though we now have declarations both on cannabis as well as on an amendment to the sodomy laws, when it comes to the practical implementation and enforcement of those rights, there still seem to be some sort of bureaucratic hurdle to that. So it's very much important. What I should say is that St. Kitts is now, and I'm proud to say it, in terms of women holding high positions, we've now moved beyond the 33 mark. I believe we're somewhere around 40.
Speaking on the human rights just before the internet dropped out. So folks, thank you for sticking and staying with us. We had a little technical glitch, but we're back now. And you hit the part of sexual harassment on the workplace. And we know in the Caribbean, we fan that off. We don't pay much attention to it like other folks do in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
How important is it for us to speak on it and get legal advice on that area?
So the interesting thing is, in I believe it's 1998, CARICOM came together, funded and created a sexual harassment code, which should have been adopted by all of the states. I had the privilege in 2016 to visit St. Lucia, where we reviewed that code, revised it, and brought it up to date.
Nice.
At that point, there were 2 of the islands which were very close to passing a draft code, Jamaica and Barbados. Both countries then had changes in administrations, and I'm not sure whether the codes were passed. Okay. It's very important, and what I try to explain to persons is sexual harassment is not just about a quote-unquote man and woman issue. It's an economic issue because it also affects productivity, which means it also affects one's ability to efficiently produce as an employee. And of course, the dignity part of it, where as a woman or man, you are faced with a hostile work environment. Now, there's only one part of the laws in St. Kitts where sexual harassment is legislated, meaning that it's found in a written law, and it's a subsidiary legislation, meaning it was one of those passed by the minister, and it's attached to the Public Service Act. Now, with that, it means that only persons who are in the public service would have access to it. But the unfortunate thing about it, it simply says one should not engage in sexual harassment, which is described as, and there's a list. Now, your recourse is to report to your supervisor. Now, if you know anything about sexual harassment, more often than not, it's because the person with authority over you is engaged in these acts, and that is why it becomes a little bit difficult for you, because there's that, you know, I might lose my job, I might get a bad review if I don't entertain this type of behavior. So there's certainly much work there. Outside of that, you have to resort to common law, also known as case law, aka what the courts have said. In our parts, because as a Caribbean, we're very expressive people, there's not much case law on sexual harassment. One that stands out when you go to university, you read about it, where I think it involved a particular bank, and a person made a complaint. It came out of Trinidad, and the court in Trinidad said, in that case, the man would always talk about her body and certain parts of her body. Mm-hmm. And the judge basically was like, in Trinidad, there's something called pecong, where, you know, you'd make certain, what other places may call lewd comments, mm-hmm. but they're just that. They're just comments, they're nothing more. So we always have to kind of fight, and someone who cannot afford a lawyer means that automatically it will be difficult for them to be able to enforce having a dignified workplace, dignified liberty, because sometimes it goes towards touching and etc. So that's an issue that I hope and I trust would be addressed sooner rather than later, now that we have more women in government and on boards.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, to hear you speak of dignified workplace, etc. This year's Human Rights Day theme is dignity, freedom, and justice for all. Practically, what does that look like?
Well, as a lawyer, it's very difficult to answer such a general question with a certain answer. So I would say it depends. It would be remiss if I did not focus on the death penalty, mm-hmm. because I am part of the executive of the Greater Caribbean for Life, which is an organization in the Greater Caribbean that deals with the death penalty. Now, when we speak about dignity for all, that should include all human beings. Mm-hmm. And there is this unfortunate position taken by the Caribbean, including St. Kitts, so far, up to at least St. Kitts' last UPR, January 2021, that the death penalty remains on the books, and our country is not willing to at least vote on a moratorium. A moratorium means at least we will officially say we're not going to execute anyone by death, which is also by hanging, for a period of time. Now, it also ties back to justice. There's a belief that if you take the life of someone, then you should lose your life by the state. So it's referred to as state-sanctioned killing. Now, the irony of saying we're protecting life by taking life only needs to be stated to be understood. But the reasons that we in the Caribbean hold on to the death penalty, if I were to be charitable, are quite unfortunate. We inherited these laws from England or France or whomever colonized us. Yes. And we hold on to it with our dear lives. And the politicians, when you speak to them in private, they may hold a different view, but they all think it will be political suicide to abolish the death penalty, because that's the tool to fight crime. If there was that type of passion in preventing crime, then I think that would serve us better. But for many years, the death penalty has been abolished in most of the countries. In fact, in the countries in the world, there are only 55 retentionist countries, and the Caribbean makes up 13 of the 55. So why are we holding on to this? We're now being judged, and when we're given marks for human rights compliance, this is one of our negative marks. They gave us this law. They then recognized that it was inhumane, undignified. It was against what is considered the inalienable right to life. And so all of these countries have abolished it. We are keeping it. It's in our books. It's in our constitution. It's a legal limit to the right to life if you're convicted of murder. Okay, but what is murder? We haven't even decided to classify murders, because one may commit murder for different reasons. It's not always premeditated.
Yes.
And I'm using this example not because I have a position on the situation, but I'm using the example simply to show how the same act can occur, but the public can have two completely different responses, and they both come from Sandy Point. Many years ago, in fact, when we were on the international stage talking about death penalty, in our parts, St. Kitts and Nevis would have been the last country to have executed someone under the death penalty, and that would have been in 1998, December, when Charles Laplace was executed. And he was convicted of a very terrible, terrible act of domestic violence that became fatal. And I definitely do not condone what was done. And my organization, we don't condone crime. We simply say punish the crime, but do not take lives. Because we recognize the difference between punishment, prosecution, and persecution. But the public outcry then would have been very different. It was a domestic violence situation that turned fatal. From the public's outcry this year, I believe it was, when there was also a fatal domestic dispute in Sandy Point. Now, if you ever had the opportunity to read the psychological reports in the Charles Laplace case before he was executed, his position was one of abuse as well. I'm not saying whether that is true or not, but that was his position. His position was one of emotional, mental, and whatever abuse as well. So, but the outcomes were different. And that's why it's very important when we speak about having a specific and become so dangerous. Because when you look at the situation that happened recently, one may say there may have been reasons that it was still a wrongful killing, but there may have been reasons that led to it, which did not make her inhumane or make her a monster for having taken another life. So we always say it's very important, because when you take someone's life by the death penalty, it's not reversible. And our systems are flawed. We are humans. And if death sentence is available for treason, which means the government decides that you are guilty of treason, or for murder, general category, then we're treading on a very, very dangerous path. And even in St. Kitts, there have been occasions where persons who everybody believed was guilty of something, including murder, turned out to be freed because they were not. So for me and for my organization, we believe it's very important for justice. Justice does not mean that someone is just given a tap on the shoulder and said, you committed a crime, you go. No, but justice means that even the worst amongst us should be treated with dignity. And I always like to say, we should not become the worst of us. If we say that we believe in protecting life, then we should protect life at all costs. It does not mean that we do not remove from society those who may be a danger to society by putting them in prison or some form of custodial sentence. But it should mean that we find justice in ensuring that we do not create even a ripple effect, because that's what happens. some people may commit crime, for example, gang violence. It will continue because it's always a retaliation. The only difference between the death penalty is that now the state is doing the retaliation. And why should that happen? Why should I then tell you, you can be a hangman and you can go and hang someone and take their life and it's going to be okay, and then read him a scripture before he dies?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terrible thing. We all complained about being on lockdown during COVID for 14 days in the comfort of our homes. I invite anyone to visit the prison for a day and then think if you could stay there for 25 years and think it's a walk in the park. It's not. So I do believe that there are other effective ways of saying to society, we will not stand for murder,
yes,
but that should fall short of taking someone's life.
Well said, Angelina Sukupa.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome.
us for this edition of Good Morning SKN and speaking with us on human rights.
You're welcome.
Really informative.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
We'll be back in a moment with more Good Morning SKN. Stay tuned.
It's been 6 months now and Glenn hasn't been working. His attitude has completely changed and he's been leaving the house every day for hours and liming with his friends and coming home drunk and causing confusion.
Gloria, this is what you cook today? This is not enough food for a big man like me.
But Glenn, it's been 6 months now. You haven't given me any money to shop for food.
Okay, so what you want me to do if my boss ain't called me out for work as yet?
Look for a different job now.
What you just said to me?
Get a next job.
What?
Help! Let me
Let
go!
go what? You just see what real happening. Let go what? Watch your mouth with me now.
Every day mom and dad fight. When are they going to stop?
Domestic violence is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, economical, and psychological. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492, Special Victims Unit 662-7077, Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
Has anyone ever touched you here, or here? Well, these are actually bad touches, not good ones. And so, if anyone ever touches you in these areas or anywhere else that makes you uncomfortable, you must say no, then go and tell. Say it with me. Say no, then go and tell.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with Probation and Child Protection Services, the Ministry of Health, and the Pan American Health Organization.
Children, how can you tell a tsunami coming?
Teacher me.
Sammy?
My mother said when uncle jump in the pool and the water spoosh out, that's how you tell a tsunami coming.
Settle down, children, settle down. Do you remember our tsunami song?
Yes!
Mommy, Uncle not here and the other shake.
Hush your mouth.
Daddy, Uncle not here and the sea gone.
Who cares? You don't see all them free fish? Quick, give me the bag.
This is how you tell a tsunami a come. Teacher says so. I would have failed in school, you know.
Sammy, come, let me go. They would have failed anyhow. Let me run, see Sammy.
What will it take to grab the attention of someone with the power to make your dream come true? 7 hopeful entrepreneurs in search of the finances necessary to take their ideas to the next level.
This is their lives, right? This is their business.
4 savvy business owners ready to make a pragmatic investment.
You can't help people if you can't help yourself. First you make the dollar and you give the dollar.
Why you take your business offline?
I really feel that you need to do a little bit more research.
Very knowledgeable. Super knowledgeable.
You have a great idea and a great concept. I think you'd be snapped up by Disney.
If you have a job someplace, it means that if something is not working, you can walk away.
Who will invest?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thank you. And who will be sent home with nothing? I am your host, Kevin Hope.
Dreamy Decor specializes in flowers for all events, from birthdays to weddings and any other special occasion. What's a better way to express to the people you love than by providing the finest selection of beautiful flowers and gifts? So when you think of flowers, think of us, Dreamy Decor.
It's Infused Friday. Welcome to today's recipe. But before we get into that, let me give you some information about the benefits of H2O. Infused water adds more to your H2O. It not only gives you the same refreshed feeling that water does, but it adds flavor and nutritional benefits. Adding different combinations of herbs, fruits, and spices to your water can lead to endless combinations that are not only delicious, but extremely good for you. Helping to control bloating, because many women suffer from bloating due to excess salt or hormonal fluctuation. Water-rich foods such as lemon and cucumber can help control this problem. How does this link into relaxation? Well, if you infuse your drink with herbs that are linked to relaxation such as sage, this often helps. What are the benefits of anti-aging? Well, if you add dark berries and pomegranate seeds, which are rich in antioxidants, this can help protect against the effects of aging. Let's talk about metabolism. Many fruits can boost your metabolism and help with weight loss, so be sure to add in your raspberries, strawberries, tangerines, and any other delicious fruit. Now, let's move on to the recipe for this Friday, which is watermelon and lemon mint. Ingredients: 1 small cup of watermelon pieces, 1 large lemon sliced, and a handful of fresh mints. Now for the directions, it's very simple. You just need a pitcher and add 1 small cup of watermelon sliced, 1 large lemon sliced, and a handful of fresh mint. Muddle ingredients and fill pitcher with ice water, and you're good to go. Add more to your H2O. Check out the Facebook page every Friday for refreshing infused water recipes.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Joining us this morning is a very special guest as part of a collaboration between Studio 327 and Seawell SKN for our 16 days of advocacy activities. A dynamic legal consultant and a managing partner of her firm, whether advocating for children and women, Seawell Regional Chair, Lady Joseph, has a list of accomplishments that could span a lifetime, and she shows no signs of slowing down. Connecting with us today from the Spice Isle of Grenada, let's learn more about her work and her role at Seawell. Lady Anande Trotman Joseph, welcome to Good Morning SKN and welcome to Caribbean Connections. Thank you for joining us. Going through our research on you, it's tough to know where to start with a bio as diverse as yours.
Thank you very much, Studio, for having me in with you and with your listeners all across the region, I trust. I'm very excited to join, and I'm especially excited to join you wearing my hat, may I say, my crown as woman, as I know we are being especially recognized during these 16 days of activism. And I am joining you as the president of the Caribbean Institute of Women in Leadership, abbreviated to Civil and Caribbean Women in Leadership. And we represent not only myself, but many dynamic women from across the Caribbean region, including, of course, you in St. Kitts, where you have a Civil St. Kitts and Nevis chapter. My pleasure to be with you all this morning.
Thank you for being with us. So you are a lawyer by profession, but you have many other related and unrelated achievements, including being the current chair of Grenada's Integrity Commission and anti-corruption bodies, as well as having worked as the chairman of tourism and hospitality for Guyana. Tell us a bit about the work you do and what inspires you in your pursuits.
Yes, so thank you for that. Well, I am a Guyana-born woman, but I'm a Caribbean woman. I, of course, live and work. I married a Grenadian, and I have very strong roots now here in Grenada, where I moved to in January 2003. So I've been schooled at Caribbean universities, University of Guyana, University of the West Indies, Barbados, Cave Hill campus, and then I did my further studies at the Hugh Wooding Law School, and I've done a little bit in America and in England postgraduate wise. But yes, I am the chair of the Integrity Commission as well, and I'm also a past chair and a serving vice chair of the Commonwealth Caribbean Association of Integrity Commissions and Anti-Corruption Bodies. But I share that I've learned as I reflect on my journey of leadership that everything was related to everything. Every opportunity and stepping stone took me to another aspect of service in my life.
So speaking of service, you've served, participated in, and led many national and regional organizations, rather. So let's talk a little bit about your work with the Caribbean Institute of Women in Leadership.
Yes. So it is really interesting that I became a founding member of this organization when I met I would have to say its concept bearer, Sheila Rousseau from Antigua and Barbuda. And interestingly enough, I met her regionally, but wide region. I met her in Uruguay at a Vital Voices Women of the Americas conference that at that time was headlined by Hillary Rodham Clinton. And she shared with me as another Caribbean participant this dream of raising up a cadre of women leaders who are conscious, yes, Bob Marley type of consciousness, meaning aware, discerning, but aware of themselves in terms of their equality and striving to claim the equal opportunities that as citizens, making up roughly 50% of, and sometimes a little more in terms of the population spread of our region, we knew as women who were standing up to leadership that we, of course, could claim and should claim that equality, that gender equality, women and men having equal opportunities of leadership and decision-making and the right to be across our region. So that's where I met Siwil. And now so many, I was young then, I share, but now as I'm getting a little less young, I continued on with Siwil. And now I ended up first being the interim chairperson, and now I am firmly the president for roughly the last 3 years or so.
Okay.
And Siwil really is what we would say in our sharing in nonpartisan and independent flagship networking organization. It's committed to advancing women's transformational leadership and to increasing the numbers of women in leadership and decision making in political and civic and all aspects of community life across our region.
So we understand the importance of you starting or founding this organization. So how do you feel this organization has evolved since its inception, and how impactful has it been to women in leadership throughout the Caribbean?
Thank you for that question, because it really has been very impactful on, firstly, our own founding members, even as we led the way in spreading out to others, because it's a journey. It's an internal, it's a personal journey of self-mastery and self-management. Some may want to say even self-mystery, because we're a women organization and not necessarily self-mastery, but it's all the same. It's about being your best self all the time as you evaluate where you are, as you build yourself in learning, continuous learning, be very strong on that, in confidence, self-confidence, and in resilience. Because the coming together of these attributes as we grow and develop in leadership, we can then in turn impart to others. So I would say we are extremely impactful because now we are reaching women in leadership across the Caribbean in at least 9 territories and continuing. So we start off from the Bahamas, Belize, Antigua, and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, and there we trained women with the women of St. Kitts and Nevis, from Montserrat and Dominica. We come across to St. Lucia, to St. Vincent, to Trinidad and Tobago, and Grenada, where we have now active chapters. We have a nucleus in Jamaica, and I'm excited to share that we are progressing and progressive because we are now focusing on youth, and we have now carried out 4 or are carrying out 4 young women in leadership training programs and we've just completed recently in Trinidad and Tobago, in St. Lucia, in Antigua and Barbuda, and only last evening we received a cohort from Jamaica. And these young women are paying forward to them, and they will work with the parliaments of their country. And in Jamaica, they were nominated by parliamentarians across the board, it's nonpartisan, and they are being trained how to be transformational within and without. And they will be trained in delivery as well in a parliamentary setting, because we're hoping too that we have future community leaders and of course national leaders that we will be raising up. So that is the kind of impact that Siwil is making across our region. And before I back to your questions, I want to say that we are extremely proud that coming out of Belize, we have a regional leader who's a Siwila, none other than Her Excellency, the Secretary General of CARICOM, Dr. Carla Barnett, and our Belize chapter, for example, and it's happening across our chapters, both the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate are Siwilas. So we are very proud of the impact in leadership across the Caribbean region.
Lady Anande, while Civil is focused on women's leadership in civil and political life in the Caribbean's current and ongoing political climate, many might believe that women from different political parties shouldn't or cannot work together. So how does the organization address its bipartisan nature, and is this helpful or hindrance to Civil's objective?
Well, of course, realistically, it can be a challenge, but we are very clear that we are nonpartisan and we do promote bipartisan approaches of women working together. And so we are very pleased to share that right here in Grenada, where I sit, there is a women's parliamentary caucus. It is one of the perhaps most or rather the best example of a parliamentary caucus. It takes in women from very early in the history of the politics of Grenada, and it is intended. Sometimes it takes its energy from the life of the politics itself and the life of the parliaments. However, they are bipartisan, multi-partisan in their representation. We share too that we are working with a women's caucus presently in Jamaica, in the Bahamas, and in Trinidad and Tobago. We are also looking at that kind of bipartisan work. So we know that, yes, sometimes there can be challenges in the rub of the politics, but it can be done. Civil is doing it through their assistance and through their assistance in setting up of such caucuses, most recently there in the Bahamas, and working with Jamaica in the next quarter of 2023 to get theirs up and running.
So I'm excited about this question. We're told that you will be returning in January to do a transformation workshop with Civil St. Kitts chapter.
Wow.
What are some of the regional plans we can look forward to, and how can people find out more about this regional and local chapter?
Yes. So, St. Kitts, Nevis, we've done a lot of work with you. I've been there in person just before COVID locked us down, and we rose to the challenges, and we have continued to work with you in St. Kitts and Nevis virtually via platforms like this. I was there again and met with the executive at the end of May of this year, and just to give them that little reboot in terms of passion, intentionality, and commitment. We did offer training during the last national elections, and we're happy that the person who accepted that training, along with her campaign management team, is now an honorable minister, I believe the only female minister in your parliament. And we have again thrown out our offer of training just recently to the women in Nevis. And we had a session, I believe, 2 Fridays ago with the first cohort, and we're expecting this offer will be taken up as well by the other woman who is running. There are 5 women running in 4 local government elections in Nevis, and we have made ourselves available to train them. We did that with the help, this most recent training, with the help of women candidates from Antigua and Barbuda. Joanne Messiah, the head of the DNA party there, and getting ready herself to compete in the next Antiguan general elections. And also with our sister, who is a deputy mayor in Trinidad and Tobago, who came forward and offered, because it's about local government, she brought the lived experience, and I brought greetings to that facilitation of training. So whether I'm there with you in person in January or not, I will definitely be there with you in spirit and virtually, but we will see how it goes. We are really working with you women, and I have to give a special shout out to Ambassador Hazel, who is also, and that is the senior Hazel. I know that the younger Hazel is very active in civil and is the current chair, and of course, they will be looking at how they go forward in January to bring new faces, other shoulders to take some of the weight of the ensuring that Civil St. Kitts goes the course of sustainability. It's not transformational leadership. It's how are you going to sustain and manage in a sustainable way to reach the widest cross-section of women in St. Kitts. So yes, we are excited for St. Kitts. We're very hopeful. We're very proud of the achievements. And we know that this will be one of the best chapters in the region in terms of getting CWIL's message across to the women of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Well, Dr. Anande, it was indeed a pleasure having you on this morning to speak about your organization. We hope this is not the last conversation we will have with you, and we hope that you can appear next January in person so that you can come and visit us at the studio.
Yes, I am very excited for you. I'm very excited to be with you on this program during this very special time of rights with all our allies, men and women, boys and girls, as we look towards the development of our region in a very sustainable way, even though we ourselves are working on being the best transformational leaders that we can all be individually. Let us embrace the transformational change, respect, non-discrimination, and all the values, the integrity, the accountability that is required for leadership at every level of our society, including within our families and within ourselves. And thank you for letting me join you and your listening audience today.
Thank you so much, Lady Anande. GMSKN Nation, stay tuned. Much more after this short break.
Welcome to another Infused Friday, and we have another amazing infused water recipe for you today, which is mango, papaya and pineapple. So let's get into just some of the benefits of this fine selection of fruit. Mango juice is full of potassium and magnesium, the two compounds that regulate blood pressure in the body. Consuming mango juice daily can help one, keep fit and maintain blood pressure and keep hypertension in check. Drinking mango juice also makes sure there is enough fluid in the body to keep it balanced. Did you know that mangoes are good for your eyes, improves immunity, great for digestion, helps fight cholesterol and may burn fat and reduces acne? Papayas contain high levels of antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C and vitamin E. Diets high in antioxidants may reduce the risk of heart disease. The antioxidants prevent the oxidation of cholesterol. When cholesterol oxidizes, it's more likely to create blockages that lead to heart disease. And finally, pineapple, rich in vitamin C and manganese, which promotes healthy bones. Pineapple is packed with disease-fighting antioxidants. Thanks to the antioxidants, pineapple has cancer-fighting properties. In addition, pineapples can aid digestion and assist in weight loss. Now for the ingredients. You need 1/4 cup of papaya, 1 cup of mango, 1/4 cup of pineapple, 1/2 cup of ice and 12 ounces of cold water. Directions: wash fruits well, chop and slice ingredients and add to a large jar or jug of iced water. Stir and serve in tall glasses. Refreshing. Add more to your H2O. Check out the Facebook page every Friday for refreshing infused water recipes.
Dreamy Decor specializes in flowers for all events, from birthdays to weddings and any other special occasion. What's a better way to express to the people you love than by providing the finest selection of beautiful flowers and gifts? So when you think of flowers, think of us, Dreamy Decor.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
Yo, this is your boy Smiley of the Grandmasters Band, and you're watching GMSKN. Hey, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just make sure you're watching GMSKN. What up?
Our next Caribbean Connections guest this morning is a former Liat cabin crew member. She has dabbled in a few things, including the likes of clothing and jewelry designs and wigs, and even hosted her own unscripted podcast, Wine and Chat, with renowned guests from across the Caribbean. Today, Kamel is here to tell us about her transition from cabin crew to owning her business as a licensed massage therapist at her Meraki massage therapy practice in St. Vincent. Good morning, Kamel, and welcome to GMSKN's Caribbean Connections.
Hi, good morning, guys. Such a pleasure being here this morning. How are you?
Pleasure. Our pleasure having you. Well, I'm good. Jamie?
All right, wonderful. Happy to get this interview underway. So why don't you tell us about the drive to become an entrepreneur and to pursue a career in massage therapy, Kamel?
Okay, so my drive was ever since I was a kid. I remember my cousins used to always say, come give me a little rub on the foot now. And I was so elated always to just go and do, just do a little massage. And I could see her expressions and I'm like, oh, I'm really good. And I know years later, while I was in the flight attendant field, there were some suggestions that I would make to some of my colleagues, whether if they have like chronic muscular pain, I would suggest certain stretches that they can do. And then, I would apply some massages, especially to the neck and shoulder area. And they would be like, Kamel, this is really good. I mean, you should really capitalize on this. And you have a natural gift for it. So I think you should really go to school. So I think Liat was my really push force, and I know I wanted something more. I know I wanted something, that represent me, that I can be passionate about, that I love, that I enjoy. So that was really my driving force in, going to school, although it was very hectic going to school, plus, working as a flight attendant. So I know I just drilled all the way through. I, just focus. I got all distinctions. Ooh, thank God for that.
Yes. Congrats.
As I worked, I was just doing it on the side at home. And sometimes I would even fly home to St. Vincent because after a while I would accumulate clients and fly home on my off days and then fly back. So Liat was my really driving force, my colleagues, because they saw the gift in me, and I would always be appreciated for that from my colleagues back in Liat.
So when did you start your business, and can you also tell us the meaning of the name and why you chose the particular logo, as well as the tagline?
So we all know the big bad COVID. When COVID came in and, at that time, Liat was, really subsiding. And, you know, a lot of my colleagues would say, Camille, at least you have something to fall back on. And I decided, you know what? Let me just make this my priority. This is my passion. I didn't really want to go, you know, full time, but, you know, life happens and sometimes things really push you, you know, life changes really push you into your destiny. And I think COVID, some may say, you know, it was bad for them, but it had a positive impact for me. I decided, you know what, I should go back home, set up my own business. It wasn't initially easy for me, I must say, you know, because my intentions wasn't really to go back home, but I know I could have, because, you know, I was so focused on the holistic field. I was so clinical when it comes to massage therapy. And it was something very new for St. Vincent. Although there are a lot of massage therapists, but the way how I introduced it, it was very new. So I was able to really make it, I would say, really make it big in St. Vincent. And that was the start. Once the buzz got around, you know, this new massage therapist is in town, you know, she goes through consultation, she asks you a lot of things about your body, what different issues that you have, and she really specializes in massage, you know, for each client. And, you know, people was like, yeah, boy, stress from COVID, they needed that release. So I came in perfect. And everybody always talks about America. They even call me America because a lot of them thought it was my name. And I'm like, no, I'm not America. But it's okay to call me that. America, when I thought of a business, I wanted something that represents me and who I am. I'm a very creative person. I'm full of flavor, full of life, full of enthusiasm, full of love. And I know getting into my business, I wanted a name that was out there that could just resonate who I am as an individual. And the meaning behind America is the essence of who you are, the love put into something, the creativity. And I'm like, that's me. That's me. Yes. So I was like, you know, I need this to be a total representation of America. And I know when I would relay the meaning behind of it to people, and they were like, Camille, that was perfect for you. Because this is your purpose. You know, I even had a client yesterday got so emotional, and she's like, thank you so much for really, you know, tapping into what you are called to do. Because there's so much that need help, that need that emotional, that psychological, that physical unwind, need the body to come back to homeostasis. So I'm walking in my purpose with
Nice. Nice.
Some people would call it, not some, the Greek call it miracle. That's what you guys pronounce it as. So some persons get a little confused about, what's the pronunciation? Is it Meraki or Merakai? But the Greek, it's a Greek name, and it's pronounced Merakai.
Okay.
Meraki, sorry, that's what the Greek pronounce it at, and for the English, it's Merakai.
Merakai, okay.
I was about to apologize for mispronouncing it, but clearly I was still, okay. I was in safe territory. All right, let's talk about your podcast right now, Wine and Chat. Very interesting name, by the way. Tell us about it.
Yes. Okay, so Wine and Chat, that originated out of COVID. At that time, COVID hit us and we were flying, and I wanted something to, just entertain me. But lo and behold, Wine and Chat changed so many lives, because I had a psychologist, a behavioral therapist, Mr. Dillison Charles, so awesome. He partnered with me, and we had like different persons from across the Caribbean, because I wanted different points of views to talk about topics such as, depressions, the effects of COVID, anxiety, relationship issues that, women and men encounter, how when you talk about trauma, generational curses and all of that, some really hard topics that a lot of persons try to really just cut out. And I think when persons would sit down and then they would listen to the level of conversations and the interactions that we had, especially with myself and Dillison, it was such an eye-opener for persons. I would always, get feedback and say, Kamel, this is opening my eyes to see that therapy is so necessary because I have so much trauma that I'm dealing with, especially from a child, and I'm bringing it into my relationship. And I'm so glad that this encouragement, my partner get to see it and, it's all making sense to him. Like I was telling him, you need to man up. And just hearing Dillison explain how a man can be a leader, it is really pushing my relationship into therapy. It is really helping me to just overcome. So that was the ideal thing that, Wine and Chat eventually just grew into, and it was so amazing. Sad to say, since America, I really just hit off. I haven't really been doing Wine and Chat as often because I get so exhausted. I have to give my energy to my clients. And so the little time that I do have, I try to just recuperate, try to rest.
Okay.
But yeah, we are planning to listen to myself. We are planning to get back on the train because so many persons about it.
So Kamel, you also once designed jewelry and clothing. We have a few pictures here that we can look at. Do you still do this? Do you intend to revamp your fashion design industry anytime soon?
As I say, that is one of my hobbies. Just like Wine and Chat, I didn't have enough time.
Okay.
In the day, it was like, oh gosh, I wish I had like 3 of me. But I do plan, even in my practice, I plan to, just distribute some pieces because Vincent haven't really known when I was living back in Barbados, persons knew that, what I was doing, especially around Liat. But, St. Vincent haven't really seen that side to me. They know as the massage therapist. So I do plan next year, God's willing, to just reestablish America Collection.
Yeah.
So yeah, next year, hopefully.
Nice.
So what's next for you? I mean, you seem to be doing it all. What's next for you, Kamel?
What's next? The thing about it is, I'm such a visionary. I have so much vision as a young lady. I never like to be at one level. I get bored pretty quickly, even though I say I'm, busy. But I always want to capitalize on me. I see myself as leaving a legacy behind. I always had a vision in me to be, a motivator, to leave a huge, a powerful impact, especially on the youths. And, I wanted to just capitalize, as I say, growing further and further. And there are some avenues, especially in massage therapy, that I really want to unlock, going on postnatal, prenatal. Also, I want to do a dabble of of acupuncture. So that's something interesting. It's not really, we Caribbean people like, oh, needles. We're not that open. But it has so many beneficial, aspects to it. So I believe, that further I go, things are really going to happen. As long as I put my mind to it,
I'm going to get it done.
Yeah, if I see myself doing it, of course, it is going to be done.
Nice.
By the grace of God.
By the grace of God.
Visionary, and you're speaking it into being. Thank you so much, Kamel, for joining us from your Marakai massage facility. I'm trying out both pronunciations. I'm going to get it right one day. But thank you so much. All the best of luck to you.
Yes.
Pleasure interviewing here on GMS SKN's Caribbean Connections.
And we hope this is not your last interview, so come back sometime, okay?
No problem. I will be back. Bye.
Bye-bye. GMS SKN Nation, stay tuned. Much more after this short break.
I eat some veggies for dinner.
Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am salt smart.
Yeah.
An exotic experience.
Yo, this is your boy Smiley of the Grandmasters Band, and you're watching GMSKN. Hey, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just make sure you're watching GMSKN. What up?
Human Rights Day will be celebrated tomorrow, Saturday, the 10th of December. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Joanna Sotomayor, the Human Rights Advisor to the UN Resident Coordinator of Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean. Here's how that conversation went. Pleasant good morning, Mrs. Juana Sotomayor. Yes, I have to get this name, so I'm going to do it again. Juana Sotomayor. Welcome to St. Kitts, and welcome to our Good Morning SKN exclusive. I'm going to begin with your role. What led you to this role? Did you study for this role, and what are some of the duties as a human rights advisor?
Thank you very much for this invitation, and I'm glad to be with you here. I am the Human Rights Advisor to the UN Resident Coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. This is a role that is very linked to human rights work, which I have done for over 20 years. And thank you. Prior to this position, I was in the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva, working as a human rights officer. So yes, I did study. I studied law, I studied human rights some years ago, many years ago, and I have worked in different positions in different countries on human rights. And you also asked me what it entails.
Yes.
As a human rights advisor, I have three main roles. The first one is to provide assistance, cooperation to the governments in this region, in this sub-region, in relation to human rights legislation, human rights policies, to align them with international human rights instruments. The second one is a very important one because I am advisor to the UN agencies, to the resident coordinator and the UN system in the region on human rights issues. So provide them with information, guidance, assistance in the different projects, joint projects, and activities that the UN is carrying out. Many of them in relation to the SDGs, as you know.
Yes.
And the third one is to interact and accompany civil society and persons of different kinds in the countries in relation to their human rights.
Oh man, you have a big portfolio, I would say. So during a little chit chat, you mentioned that it is a regional activity and not a national activity. And
I want to know, your federation, you're in the federation, sorry, for a week to conduct stakeholder consultations with persons or for persons with disabilities. Can you share some of the aims of this workshop and the outcome that you hope for? And also, with the outcome, would there be a document that will put certain principles into place for persons with disabilities?
Thank you very much. I am in St. Kitts and Nevis for this week. It's my first time here at the invitation of the Federation and the government to work assisting them with awareness raising and capacity building about the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and disability inclusion. There are a number of initiatives by the current administration in relation to the development of policy, legislation, public awareness campaigns, and also a survey in order to better understand who persons with disabilities are in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we have held stakeholder consultations in Nevis with civil society, the private sector, public sector, and we are doing the same here in St. Kitts today and tomorrow. There will be not necessarily a document, but some recommendations, some ideas for action that the government will take on board as they continue to develop their policies and programs in this area.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So tomorrow, November 25th, is the day for eradication of violence against women. And it also starts a 16 days of activism, which ends on Human Rights Day. We know that gender-based violence is a human right violation. What are some of the activities that are being put into place to curb violence against men and women?
Okay, thank you very much also for bringing this into our conversation. Indeed, 25th of November is a date where all eyes focus on violence against women and girls. And violence is a pervasive form of discrimination against women and girls. 1 in 3 women around the world have suffered violence many times in their family or in their close relatives, their close circles. Violence diminishes the person's capacity to exercise her rights. And there are many issues related to violence that are still very concerning. In the last years with COVID, we have seen an increment of violence against women around the world and in the Caribbean region as well. There are many actions that are very important to fight violence against women and girls. First, we need to talk about it. We need to stand up when we know about violence. We need to denounce it. We need to act. The second one is to protect the victims. Very important to protect them. Third one, empower organizations of women, empower women in different positions, ensure they have a seat in the table for policy and decision making. Many policies have changed because women were at the table in relation to violence. A fourth point is we also need to discuss some of the stereotypes about girls. Girls are children. Yes. Any woman under 18 is a child. Regardless of how this girl is dressed or where she is, that is not an invitation for anything, and there is no consent possible for a girl under 18. Yes. Another important point, and with this I will finish because I could continue, the other point is to fund organizations of women and girls. There is a need for public awareness raising, for feminist discussions, and this can only be made when organizations, different kinds of organizations of women, have the funding, the capacity to go out and do their work. So A number of activities are planned, but these are the main messages for these 16 days of activism, leading to 10 December, the Human Rights Day.
Let's talk about that. It will be the 75th anniversary of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Are there any particular events and activities to commemorate such a momentous occasion?
The 10 December starts a year-long celebration
a year-long, nice.
of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is a document that has changed the way we relate to each other and we understand human diversity and inclusion. One of the articles of this declaration that you have probably heard and everybody probably has heard is all human beings are born equal in rights, free and equal in rights. This is a very powerful article that has led to many changes. We will start this year, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the UN system, will be celebrating in different ways the importance of inclusion, the importance of human rights for SDG implementation, the value of diversity in our societies. All of us are different and all of us enrich our societies with our differences.
So tolerance is definitely needed.
Yes, but more than tolerance, ensuring that different voices are part of the discussions, that we go beyond, for example, since we are talking about disabilities in these stakeholders, a person is a lot more than a physical disability. And their contribution, the contribution they can make to societies in all aspects of life are critical. We cannot neglect any person because of particular impairment, a physical impairment. And we have to fight prejudice against persons with disabilities, against difference. Women have suffered it. There are many grounds of discrimination, and I think it is important, very important, to remember that we all benefit.
Just before we let you run away, what are the top 3 human rights that we as humans have?
Well, I can never choose.
You can never choose.
I could never choose because from a human rights perspective, we always say that human rights are interactive. So for example, interdependent and indivisible. So for example, if I say the right to health is one of the most important. The right to health is linked to the right to life, is linked to housing, your housing conditions, food, it's linked to education. Sometimes if you don't have enough education, you cannot understand the right to health, you cannot have the information available. Participation in decision making, freedom of association are also relevant for health. So all these different rights will always be linked. When we talk about human rights, we talk about a network of different aspects that make our life, the quality of life, on equality with each other, possible.
Nice, nice. Well, it sure has been a pleasure, and I hope that the 2 days here brings the most successful outcome ever, and that persons with disability will be recognized and be treated as fairly as they can. And thank you for touching on our human rights. I hope this is not our last conversation. I know that you're a few miles away from us, but I hope we do have more conversations like this.
With pleasure. Thank you very much.
Juana Sotomayor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for another edition of GMS SKN. Just 3 episodes ago, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary here on Good Morning SKN. And, well, you know, it's not done yet. We have prepared a highlight video of some clips from segments from the past year. So,
enjoy.
This is where we leave you. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Louisa. I want to put you on this spot. I want to put you on this spot.
Okay, so let's save your question for last.
You are giving us the prompt of a really bad actor. Well, yeah, almost.
We were being too serious, so I had to come up with a joke, okay? What?
Karate.
I love your energy, Miss Sue. I'm loving
Side by.
Even smell like red.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we didn't sip into this, so I can't come up that I didn't.
Well, I gotta say, as long as the animals are around, the action and entertainment. #TeamPM.
Oh, so y'all play against each other all the time?
All the time, and I always win. That's my number.
Good morning.
Oh my gosh.
What is going on here?
It's our first year anniversary. It's so special. This is special.
Good morning, everybody!
Thank you so much for watching us, as
Starting your mornings
usual.
with us, as Hortensia just said, because it wouldn't be the same without you, right?
Good morning, Hortensia. Good morning, Jamie.
Wow.
Happy anniversary, Studio 327. You have made it to one, and I wish you many more to come.